Today's business with Stephen then. We're going to start in Nigeria today. Bit of a deal that has been done to reach the end of a fuel crisis there, Stephen.
That's right. The dispute over unpaid fuel subsidies had led to Nigeria's fuel importers halting distribution for months now. The ensuing shortage had led to banks and airlines cutting services, all but bringing the country to a standstill. But a deal has been reached with the Finance Ministry to end the crisis, as Josh Vardy now explains.
Back from the brink, Nigerian fuel importers say they've agreed with the government to lift their embargo on distribution, marking an end to the crisis affecting the country since March. Nigeria relies on imported fuel, which is heavily subsidized. The local currency, the naira, has fallen in value due to low global oil prices, meaning petrol importers have found it difficult raising credit from overseas banks. They said they were owed money by the Nigerian government and closed their depots. This resulted in fuel shortages that have grounded aircraft, disrupt communications and dim lights across the country. On Monday, fuel normally sold at the subsidised rate of 87 naira a litre was being sold at 600, and the streets of Lagos, normally a bustling commercial centre, were notably quieter. Some say the problems all stem from the subsidies.
Nobody's paying 87 naira a litre right now, and everybody's inconvenienced. So this is the right opportunity to take out the subsidies, put the matter to rest, and take out the subsidy system that actually creates this absurdity, this fraud, because these guys are blackmailing the country as a whole.
When outgoing President Goodluck Jonathan tried to remove fuel subsidies in 2012, there were riots. Customers were faced with paying more than twice the amount for petrol. Oil is cheaper today, however, and some say that without subsidies, Nigerian customers would now only have to pay 30% more.
Let's head further south now to South Africa next, in fact. Some startling figures from the country's mining industry.
And that's that 35,000 mine workers in South Africa have lost their jobs since 2012. That's according to figures from the Chamber of Mines seen by the Financial Times. The mass layoffs began in the wake of the police shooting of 34 striking mine workers in Marikana in 2012. The dramatic restructuring by mining companies there has mostly affected jobs in the gold and platinum mines.
Shall we have a look at the markets then?
Asian shares generally trading up today on this Tuesday. Hong Kong and Seoul back in business after their holiday yesterday. The Nikkei closing up, as you can see, just over 0.1%. Chinese shares doing well this after moves from Beijing to open up cross-border investment. That announcement made over the weekend, but the Hang Seng just getting its first chance to react to it now. Keeping an eye too on the currency markets. The euro down against the dollar again today. €1 worth just over $1.09. The value of the currency again hit by jitters over Greece. We'll move on now to look at some of the day's other business headlines. Another deal appears close to completion in the US cable industry. The second largest operator in the market, Charter Communications, is said to be close to buying the industry number 2, Time Warner, for $55 billion. The deal would be a blow to France's Altice, which is said also to be interested in buying Time Warner. The Irish airline Ryanair has seen its net profit rise by 2/3 in the year to the end of March. The low-cost carrier earned almost €870 million. Looking ahead, Ryanair is expecting a more moderate 10% increase in profits next year, as it warns of increased competition. And the first criminal case over the rigging of the interbank lending rate LIBOR is set to begin in London later. Britain's Serious Fraud Office is claiming that former trader Tom Hayes was the ringleader of a group that manipulated that key rate. UK and American authorities have fined banks almost $3 billion over the scandal.
And finally, this is a very quick change, isn't it? It seems more and more tourists are flocking to Cuba as relations with the United States warm up.
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I've been hearing of more and more people that are travelling supposedly to get there ahead of the Americans, even though, of course, they've been travelling there for many years. But they're doing so now in greater numbers, despite the official ban on American tourists visiting the island. The number of US citizens has risen by more than 1/3 that are travelling to Cuba since January. They mostly travel through other countries in Central America and the Caribbean. The US has eased the rules and paperwork needed for its citizens to go to Cuba. Overall, tourism to Cuba is up 14% in the first 4 months of this year to over 1.5 million visitors. The number of French, German and British travellers also up by around 1/4.
I suspect that 14% is going to grow and grow as well. Another place to add to the list. Stephen Carroll, thanks a lot for business news on France 24.